Great topic for you this morning. I appreciate y'all stopping by. This live discussion today is going to conclude my survival series of all the class and curriculum that I put together to bring to the men inside of a Florida prison. I put together like a little life skills course, and elsewhere on my channel you can see the other videos about getting your mind right, improving your relationships, being men of integrity, employment solutions for ex-felons, credit 101, housing solutions. And today we're covering a very important topic that I think we all deal with, whether we've ever been incarcerated or whether we haven't been: overcoming discouragement. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Mark, and I am a volunteer chaplain with the Florida Department of Corrections. And I have learned quite a few things in life. I've been knocked down a few times. I've had to get back up a few more times. And with all of my ups and downs and the mistakes that I've made, I've learned a whole lot about how to get through life and how to navigate it. And I like to use this channel to bring a positive word of encouragement, a positive thought to think about, maybe help change your perspective, help you get through the day a little bit. I know there's a whole bunch of trash and garbage on the internet. I try to be a beacon of hope. I try and be something different, offer strength and encouragement. So if you're joining me today, I appreciate you. I'm going to talk about overcoming discouragement as I share with you my cup of coffee. So the first thing, discouragement comes to us all. There isn't one of us who goes through life who's not discouraged at some point. It's through overcoming the discouragement that we grow and that we elevate to another level. My grandma used to say, having a problem is not the problem. Doing nothing about the problem is the problem. So it's not a problem that we all face discouragement. It's what we do in the midst of that discouragement that is either going to make us or going to break us. So understanding that there are going to be days when we face discouragement is automatically going to make getting through those days a little easier. So what can we do to overcome discouragement that we all at some point in time are going to face? Well, something I like to do, I keep a list of things I'm grateful for. Discouragement and gratitude cannot coexist together. You cannot be discouraged and upset at the same time you are grateful and optimistic. The two frames of mind do not coexist. So I keep me a list of things I'm grateful for. I wake up every morning, and before I get out of bed, before I start my day, I start with gratitude. I thank the good Lord for the woman that's laying in bed beside me. That's my wife. I thank the good Lord for my health. I thank him for another day. I got a big old fat 120 pound pit bull that will lay on the floor beside the bed. I thank the Lord for that fat girl. And then I get up and I start my day. I see everybody starting to join the chat here this morning. I appreciate your time. Hello to all. I'm talking about overcoming discouragement. We all face it. We all go through it. And then besides keeping a list of things I'm thankful for, my health, my wife, my kids, my job, another day, on and on and on, I suggest you make a list of things that you like about yourself. When discouragement comes, it's real easy to get down on ourselves. It's real easy to look at all the things we don't have, all the things we are not, all the things we are lacking, and then the discouragement grows. However, if you keep a list of things you like about yourself, what is it you like about you? You as a person, what do you like? For example, a, f- a few things I like about myself. I'm good looking. Something else I like about myself is I'm hardworking. I have multiple streams of income. I got different business opportunities that I'm doing. I think I'm a positive person. I'm a helpful person. I go out of my way to help others. And there are a few things about my personality and my character traits that I really like. So if you keep a list of things you like about yourself and pull that out in times that you're feeling down and you're feeling discouraged, it will help you. Chart and track your personal progress. Okay, say you're working on a goal. It's easy to get discouraged before you get to the end, before you reach your goal. It's easy to get discouraged. However, if you look back and see how far you've come, if you chart your progress, you will begin to, instead of looking ahead at how much further you have to go, you can look back and you can see how far you've came. And it's a whole different perspective. When you look ahead and see how much further you still have to go, that can be discouraging. It can get you down. A lot of times we like to look at ourselves and compare our progress and our journey to others. You can't do that. That's discouraging. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own set of life's experiences. So everybody's journey is different. If you look ahead and see what you don't have, what you haven't done, how far short you are of the mark, you're always going to be discouraged. But if you look back and you see, in the last year I've done this, in the last month I've accomplished this, in the last week I have been successful at doing this, it'll change your whole perspective. Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday, who you were last week, who you were last month. Are you doing better than you used to be doing? If so, that's encouraging. You can draw strength from that. You can draw hope from that. You can draw enough encouragement and strength to get through another day. Expect discouragement. See, a lot of times we get discouraged because discouragement comes and we weren't expecting it. And now we're disappointed. We take a blow and we don't know what to do. It'll offset us. It'll throw us off track. However, if you expect discouragement from time to time in life and you prepare yourself to deal with that, and ways you can prepare yourself are a few of the things I've already mentioned. Keep a list of things you're thankful for. Keep a list of things you're grateful for. Keep a list of things you like about yourself. Keep a list of your progress. Of your progress. These are things that will help you in times of discouragement to overcome it and not be overwhelmed by it. You had to have positive self-talk. If you talk down to yourself, it's going to be real hard to overcome discouragement. But if you use positive self-talk, whether you look in the mirror, whether you get alone in a prayer closet, whether you're riding down the road and you're just speaking to yourself, positive self-talk. Yourself will listen if you talk down to yourself, and yourself will listen if you talk up to yourself. Positive self-talk. I learned the lesson that the no has to teach you. Usually when we are faced with discouragement or disappointment, it's usually because something has not worked out for us. We've been told no on something we really needed a yes on. Maybe we applied for a job and we were very hopeful, and they didn't accept us. Somebody else got the job. That can be disappointing. Maybe we are trying to do something with our significant other and they're not acting right. They're not responding it in the way that we want them to or we need them to. That can be discouraging. It can be disappointing. But the thing is usually there's a lesson to be taught with the disappointment. There's a lesson to be taught when we hear the word no. And you can continue and kick against the pricks or bang your head against the wall trying to turn that no into a yes. Or you could take a step back and you can realize what it is that the no, that the disappointment is trying to teach you. The sooner you learn that lesson, the sooner you can move past it. The sooner you can turn the no into the yes once you learn the lesson. So if you're facing overwhelming disappointment, take a step back, examine the situation, and see what it is that life is trying to teach you. Your successes are not permanent, and neither are your failures. A man should never make camp beside his successes or his failures. You are more than your worst mistake, and your greatest success does not define you. You're not defined by your greatest mistake or your greatest accomplishment. Neither one of those things define you. It's who you are in between that defines you. I got a few examples here of no's I dealt with in life that taught me lessons. One was there was a time in 2016 I was trying to buy a car. I didn't like the vehicle I was in. I wanted to trade it in. I wanted to get out of it. I wasn't in a good place financially. I wasn't in a good place with my credit. I was upside down in my vehicle. I had negative equity in it. It was not a good position to be trying to buy a car in. And it took me 30 days of being told no. Being told, no, we won't give you a loan. No, we won't approve you. No, you're not qualified. Before I was able to actually get approved. But at each stop, I learned something about how to improve my situation. And with each stop, with each no, I added to my wisdom. With each stop, with each no, I added a tool to my toolbox. And by the end of the 30 days, I was able to take all that I had learned from different salesmen and different car lots and different things I had been told, and I was able to put it all together. And at the end of the month, I was able to get a car. But had I been discouraged with them first couple of no's, I don't know what I'd have done. I probably would have never got a car. So when you face a no, there's a lesson to be learned there. Soon as you learn that lesson, you can move on past that. So if you're stuck in discouragement, if you're stuck in disappointment, there's a lesson there to be learned. It's not a permanent situation. It's just a lesson. How long it takes, that's up to you. So another thing I've discovered that helps deal with discouragement is positive inputs. I used to get mad, leave the house all pissed off, whether it was my wife or whatever the case was. I'd be mad, I'd be upset, I'd go jump in my car, I'd drive real fast, and I'd play me some Guns N' Roses or something. Na 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 na. Loaded like a freight train, flying like an airplane, feeling like a space brain. One more time tonight, I'm on a night train. Man, I would blast that stuff in my car. None of that is positive input. It just had me thinking about doing things that was going to lead to more disappointment. I was feeding myself negative input. What I do, if I'm really upset and I just can't take it, I usually try and get alone and create me a vibe. Whether it's in my little space, I got an RV, it's like my little man cave, my little office, whatever. It's my little space. I get in there and I play some praise music, some praise and worship music, or I play some smooth jazz. I'll light a few candles. I'll get a nice aroma in there. I'll play soft music, and I will change the vibe around me. And you have to proactively do this because you don't always feel like it. But I guarantee if you turn off the rock and roll, which is my preference, if you turn off the rock and roll and you turn on the praise and worship, or if you're not into that, some smooth jazz, just change the vibe. Your whole mood will change. Once your mood changes, your emotions change. Once your emotions change, you begin to think more clearly, and you're better equipped to overcome discouragement. I do realize there are probably people who are joining in on this live that may not be a Christian or be into the Bible or this or that. And I'm not trying to preach, but I do want to bring out an example. King Saul in the Bible was tormented. And when he was tormented by demons, he would call for David to come and play the harp. And the sound of the harp, the skilled playing, the anointed music that he would listen to would be enough to bring peace to his mind and drive the tormentors away. That's real. That's real. We are influenced by the music we listen to. And by changing your music, you can change your outlook. You can change your perspective. You can turn chaos into peace. It works. I do it. Something else you might do is listen to an inspirational podcast. And I'm not saying it has to be something religious, but there's a whole lot of speakers out there who have something good to say about positive motivation, about inspiring stories. They have a whole lot to say about how to lift you up and to give you strength and to change your whole perspective about what you're going through. I suggest you seek less entertainment and more inspiration. I'll watch a few shows on the television, but I don't really too much get into entertainment. I don't chase it. I find entertainment for the sake of entertainment to be like eating candy. It's negative calories. It might taste good on your tongue at the moment, but it does nothing good for you. It's empty. But you listen to something that stirs your spirit, that feeds your soul, that inspires your mind, you're going to be a whole lot better off than just filling your time with empty, vain entertainment. Words of encouragement are important. If you're feeling discouraged and you're feeling down and you're feeling overwhelmed, it will do you a lot of good to speak to an elder, to speak to a mentor, to speak to a wise family member. Have somebody you can talk to who can impart wisdom unto you instead of sitting alone in your thoughts, being depressed, being upset, being overwhelmed by this discouragement. Go talk to somebody who you trust. Go talk to somebody whose input you value. It'll change your whole perspective. I know this is what I do, and I deal with lots of discouragement. Something else that will help you overcome something else that will help you overcome discouragement is massive action. Anytime you take massive action, you are going to get massive results. Let me give you an example. Say maybe you, okay, I got an example. I got a buddy of mine who got out of prison. He did 37 years in the joint. And he got out and he was having a hard time finding a job. He had just got out. He had been out a couple months. And when you do 37 years in prison and you get out, it's really hard to hide that. You kind of have to be upfront and honest about that when you're dealing with a job interview. And he was looking for a job for a couple weeks, and he finally got this call from this recruiter. This I had helped him to create a resume and submit an application online to this scrap metal company. And their recruiter called him, and he spoke with them, and the recruiter said, "Hey, I want you to go down for an interview on Wednesday morning. I want you to be there at 7 a.m. with work boots on." Dude, he called me on the phone. He was all excited. He had already talked to this guy. He had already told him his story. The guy had reviewed his application. He sent him in for the interview. He was excited. He thought for sure he had this job. And when he got there, he come to find out there was 3 other people there for the same job. There was one job and there was 3 applicants there to interview. He wasn't picked. He was really disappointed. And he called me, and so on Tuesday night, he called me and he was on top of the world. He called me Wednesday afternoon and he was lower than well digger shoes. He was down, he was discouraged, he was disappointed. He felt like they had teased him, they had taunted him, and they had pulled the rug out from under him. He wanted to quit, he wanted to give up, and I had to talk to him. Listen, man, if you quit and you give up, then you're not going to achieve your goal. There's not a job waiting for you at the end of that road. Take massive action. I put him on Indeed, and I started helping him to drop 50 applications a day. If you're dropping 50 applications a day, that's massive action. And I told him, I said, don't just depend on me. I said, print up some of the resumes I made for you. I'd print 50 of them. And I'd start tomorrow, and I'd walk out the door of your house and I'd start walking. Because at the time, he didn't have a vehicle, he didn't have a bicycle, he just had pit and pad, his 2 feet. I said, I would walk to every business that's within walking distance of your house. And I would not come back until you dropped all 50 resumes. Do that again and again and again, over and over each day. And by the end of the week, you will have dropped 500 or 600 resumes. You will have dropped 500 or 600 applications. By next week, you will have interviews. And you will have several interviews lined up. And out of one of them interviews, you're guaranteed to get a job. Massive action brings about massive results. If you are dealing with discouragement and disappointment in your life right now, take massive action today. What can you do to massively impact this situation? Massive action brings massive results, and it drives away disappointment. It also ushers in a brand new wave of optimism. It will totally turn your whole mood, vibe, and perspective around. Massive action. Seek to learn or create. If you're dealing with disappointment, I got the sun. It's coming up over my eyes over here. I might have to move locations for you just because I keep trying to duck that sun. All right, so here we go. So there's been times I have dealt with earth-shattering disappointment. I have dealt with disappointment that rocked my world so hard I wanted to drive my car off a cliff. I just didn't know how to deal with it. I've had crushing weight of disappointment. I could physically feel it in my chest as I lay in bed at night. It was crushing me. It was hard to breathe. I know what disappointment feels like. When it's that bad, and when it gets like that, I usually try and take that energy and create. You know, this whole YouTube channel that I have with almost 300 videos was birthed from a set of books I wrote. It's Up Your Averages series. It's like a daily devotion guide, a daily guide to improving your life, to improving your relationships, and to improving your finances. It's 3 different books I wrote. And those books were birthed out of major disappointment. Probably the worst disappointment I've ever felt in my life, or close to it. I remember driving and somebody had texted me and they had said, I can't even imagine what you're going through right now. But if you will find a way to take this pain and take this disappointment that you are feeling and turn it into an epic win. If you make your mess your message, you can turn this into an epic win. And I had about an 8-hour drive when I got that text message on this particular day. And I was feeling so crushed and so hurt and so disappointed. I didn't know how I could ever turn the bad news into a win, much less a win of epic proportions. And if I'd have sat with those feelings, I'd have probably took my life on this particular day, because I could not see nothing left to live for at this particular moment in my life. But then I got the idea. I could use the emotional. I could use the emotions I was feeling as fuel, and I could create something beautiful. And I began to put the thoughts together. I began to put the plan together. And it has been, that was in 18. It has been 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It has been 6 years since that day. And I don't feel that disappointment anymore, but I feel a renewed sense of optimism for the projects I have undertaken since then. I'm really proud of my books. You can find them on my website, markwcast.com. But I'm not trying to push them here. It took me, I started writing the first book in 2020, maybe 2021. I think 2021 I started writing the first book. I finished it in 2022, and in 2022 I started writing the second book and the third book. I finished them all, or the last one, in 2024. So it's been an ongoing process. And after I finished the book, I was like, now what? Now I'm going to start the YouTube channel. Now I'm going to become a certified volunteer with the Florida Department of Corrections, and I'm going to go into the prisons, and I'm going to take the men in there this message. So this message that you're hearing from me right now was birthed in probably one of the worst moments of my life, because I chose to be fueled by the disappointment instead of ruined by it. I was speaking with a friend of mine who was dealing with a family member who had cancer, and it didn't look like they had long to live. And I was on the phone with them, and they were crying. And they was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to lose my sister, and blah blah blah. And I had to have the same conversation with them. Listen, You can be overtaken by this guilt, by this disappointment, by this discouragement and this hurt. They were talking about going out and doing silly things, drinking all night, maybe taking their life and all this. If their sister didn't live, they didn't want to live, and all this dumb shit, right? But when a person's emotionally enraged like that, they're being controlled by their emotions. There isn't any room for logic or reason. So I had to speak with him. I had to take some time and listen to him, hear him, let him get him out, let him get his thoughts and his feelings out. And then I told him, I said, man, why don't you create something for your sister, man? Why don't you begin to write about the good times that y'all had? Just a little journal. Just begin to create a little journal. And think about your good memories. Think about your good times. Think about the things you're grateful for, the opportunities you've had in life, the adventures you've had in life, the experiences you've had in life with your sister that have brought a smile to your face. And maybe put that together in a journal and present it to her. That will allow you to use your disappointment as fuel to create something beautiful. And it changes your headspace. I think I really got through to him that evening, because by the time we hung up, we was sharing a laugh, and he liked the idea. He was going to go get started on it. But the point is, let your disappointment fuel you to create something positive. And you will overcome the discouragement instead of the discouragement overtaking you. It's good to have your own space. If you can create some space where there's peace, like maybe I was speaking with the RV I got an RV. It's like my own little space, and I try and keep it real zen in there. I got a few candles in there that smell nice. I play smooth jazz constantly, so when you walk in, it's just a real chill vibe. If you can create you a space where peace can reign supreme, then chaos and discouragement have no place there. You can go there and your soul can rest. It's important when you're battling discouragement. You know, self-care is important. A lot of times we get caught up in doing for others, and we don't take enough time to do for us. It's important. Read your list every day, what you're grateful for and what you like about yourself that I talked about in the beginning of this video. Read your list. Start your day with gratitude and feeling good about yourself. Addition by subtraction. You know, sometimes the storm comes to remove things from our life, and it actually makes us better. We can actually grow a lot of times when we're disconnected from things that keep us down, when we're disconnected from the chaos, when we're disconnected from the source of disappointment. It allows us to bloom, to flourish, to grow. So sometimes it's addition by subtraction. You have to be able to recognize that and appreciate that in your life. Sometimes the universe will take stuff away from us that's not good for us. Understanding that allows us to see the situation differently. Also, you can change your past. I may do a video on this later on down the road, but you can change your past. You've heard people say, well, you can't change your past. You can change your past. Absolutely. You know, as your tomorrows become yesterdays, you have the ability to change your past. If you can change today, you can change tomorrow. And as your tomorrow fades into yesterday, your past begins to change. Perhaps in the past you have been known for things that are not great. Perhaps in the past you have been known for things that you are now ashamed of. And maybe that weighs on your mind. Maybe it weighs on your shoulders. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you do things today that make you proud, then tomorrow, today is your past. And the more todays that become yesterdays, that are filled with things you're proud of, the more your past begins to change. And your reputation begins to change. The way people think of you begins to change. And before you know it, you're a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5 years down the road, and you look back and your past is completely different. If you get a hold of that, that will transform your whole life. You can change your past, and you do that by being a different person today and letting today become yesterday. Also, this is real important. Things are only as big a deal as you make them. There are times when people in my life, maybe my kids, will just upset me. There are times in life that maybe my wife will just upset me. There are times in life when maybe a business deal don't go my way, or I have to deal with a jackass somewhere, somehow. And maybe my first thought is just to be upset. Maybe I'm mad because I feel disrespected. Maybe I'm mad because I feel embarrassed. Or maybe I'm mad because whatever it was, it didn't go my way. And maybe I'm justified in being mad. And maybe it's all legitimate. I can tell you all the reasons why they've done me wrong and I'm upset about it. But you know what? All that does is justify me being mad. What if I just say it ain't a big deal? You know, I brought this lesson to the guys inside, and one of the guys in prison had took this lesson out through the next week. And when I come back in the next week to give another class, he told me how he had applied this. He said that he had got some food from the kitchen, which is illegal in and of itself in a prison setting. But he had got some food from the kitchen, and it was on his bed. And he had walked out of his cell to go do something. And while he was out of his cell, somebody walked by and seen this sandwich on his bed. And they took his sandwich and he ate it. In this situation, in the chain gang in prison, man, that dude could have took that a whole lot of ways. He could have took that as disrespect. He could have took that as being stolen from. He could have went and got a knife and stabbed this dude up. I mean, there are some things you just do not let go in prison. And somebody coming into your cell and taking food from you off of your bed can usually qualify as one of them things you do not let go. But the dude thought about this lesson. He thought about what I said. And he said, things are only as big a deal as you make them. And he went up to the dude who took his sandwich, and he offered him a bag of chips. He said, man, if you're hungry, man, I'm happy to give to you. Here's some chips to go with that sandwich. Turn the whole situation around. Instead of going to confinement for fighting or for stabbing the dude or getting extra time and charges added to his sentence because of the way he handled it, which in that case would have been justified, he decided to not allow it to be a big deal. As a matter of fact, he took the opportunity and used it to help further bless the guy. You can do the same thing. You know, I'm in a co-parenting situation with an ex-wife and a stepdad. And I don't always like everything that happens. And I can get mad about it if I want to. Or I can just step back and I can look at it from another situation and I can just say, that's not really that big of a deal. It doesn't have to ruin my day. And it doesn't have to ruin your day either. You can do the exact same thing. It's not really that big of a deal. You only have to get upset if you want to get upset. Think about it. So, another thing, if you're dealing with disappointment and we're talking about self-care, might not be a bad idea to unplug from the world and just go get a massage at a massage parlor or a chiropractor or something like that. Just go and take some time, an hour, 2 hours. I'm gonna let somebody be good to you. Now, I'm not talking about things that are immoral and stuff like that. Ain't what I'm talking about. But hey, if you just stop in the middle of the day and you go in and you get yourself a nice massage, man, when you walk out of there, you'll feel better. You'll feel better, I promise you. Um, there are some people who smoke medical marijuana. If it can chill you out, if it can make your day better, I'm not going to stand in the way of your doctor and your prescription and say don't do that. That is a lot better than going off half-cocked and being overwhelmed by disappointment and letting that ruin your day. I promise you. So I'm about to wrap this up here, but another point is seek counsel from someone you look up to and admire. It could be a preacher, it could be a mentor, it could be a sponsor, it could be a friend, it could be a family member. But don't sit alone and dwell on those thoughts. Talk to somebody, get it out. Seek counsel from somebody older, wiser, more experienced. Discouragement is going to come for us all. How we deal with it is up to us. And folks, that's all I got for today. So I appreciate everybody who joined in. I'll be going through these messages and chats and responding as I can if I'm able to. I don't really do a lot of that while I am in the middle of the live stream. I don't want to be distracted from my thoughts and dealing with trolls and this and that and everything. But I do appreciate you watching. I do appreciate you leaving a comment. And if you click like, share, subscribe, I appreciate it. Thank you.